Could the pundits and the prognosticators be any more wrong this year? They told us it was going to be Bush and Clinton, another Bush and Clinton race. Remember all those stories that were written about the two political dynasties? Well, it may not be Jeb Bush, and I suppose it's possible now that it may not be Hillary Clinton. If you looked at these latest polls, in Iowa, for example, you've got Donald Trump in first place and Ben Carson about 5 or 6 points behind. And then there was a new poll out yesterday by Monmouth University that had Carson and Trump tied for first place at 23% and Carly Fiorina in third place at 10%. That means that almost 6 in 10 Iowa Republicans, if these early polls are to be believed, favor a non-politician for their nomination, somebody with no experience holding political office. It's not just the Trump phenomenon. Carson is doing phenomenally well for a retired neurosurgeon, and Carly is doing well as also. And then you've got Jeb Bush. You can look at all these polls, and he's at 5 or 6 or 7%. How did this happen? On the Democratic side, the assembled wise people of the media said, well, you know, this is absolutely, we're anointing Hillary Clinton. It's going to be a coronation. The same way they did in 2007, the same way they did in 2008. And now the Bloomberg Des Moines Register poll shows Bernie Sanders trailing Hillary by just 7 points in the state of Iowa. And Iowa's a much better state for her than New Hampshire, which tends to be kind of tailor-made for a liberal insurgency candidate. Now, I think Hillary's situation is a little bit different. It's hard to imagine a 73-year-old avowed socialist winning the nomination. But of course, if she is suffering enough from the email controversy and the trustworthy numbers and the fact that she is a professional politician who's been on the stage for a quarter century at a time when that's not what the voters seem to want, then Biden or anybody else who gets into the race presumably could make this a real competitive Democratic nomination fight. But I keep coming back to the fact that it's very evident that a lot of people out there are angry, and who can blame them? Washington doesn't work. It hasn't worked for a long time. There's gridlock, there's polarization. The major problems go unaddressed. People aren't talking about the economy in a way that connects with voters. And so that's why, one of the reasons why Trump is doing so well and why people like Carson and Fiorina are doing well and why Bernie-mentum is exciting the Democratic base in the way that Hillary Clinton clearly is not. And so if you look at the media prognosticators, they just have blown it this year, and they just now are trying to adjust to the fact that this is not a typical year, that people are angry, that they don't want professional politicians. And that's usually how we judge things. Who would be best suited, who has the best experience to be president? A former Secretary of State and Senator and First Lady, a former successful 2-term governor of Florida. But if all of that is out the window and the voters are just disgusted, then we have to figure out how to gauge whether somebody's qualified to be president who's never run for public office at all before, and who is breaking through, as some of these insurgent candidates are, in a way that professional politicians simply can't match. And that is a whole new ballgame. Yes, it's early, it's August, but finally the press waking up to the fact that this was not going the way we thought it was going to go down.